I'm so sorry. You deserve so much better. You deserve so much better. Hey guys. Hey guys. What are you doing, John? You're a good boy. You're a good boy. Are you camera shy too? And what happens is we need some more sand, and they need such better enclosures. You know, that's my goal. Hey, Anna. She's our girl, one of our girls. Hey, Anna. Pretty girl. You know, even this is what they have as a pool. You know, it's unacceptable. I mean, this thing is maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 feet. So it's February 5th, 2017, and I'm actually going to bring all these supplies to the current caretaker in hopes that he's going to administer all this medicine. Basically, the whole grounds is ridden with hookworm, and all of the animals, from the tigers to all the dogs, are infested. So I just wanted to get, you know, video, as well as all the dogs have ticks and fleas. So this is all the medicine basically that I just purchased, and for the tigers, for the hookworm, I have enough for 5 tigers to begin for 3 days of treatment, and then I will have to go back and prayerfully, if he lets me, to bring more, because they didn't have enough at the feed store, which is very concerning. Obviously they all have, you know, hookworm. So I just know that I'm trying to do what's right and at least bring it and pray that he does take it. And then these are for the dogs. This is for fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, lice, and mites. All of these are for the 7 dogs, and then this is there's 7 pills in here for the hookworms, and then as well as this is for heartworms. And then Gigi, a gal that's been helping through Paw Print Hearts, this is some food that they actually donated, so she just wanted to, you know, show that this was actually donated. So we're giving all this to the gentleman, as well as I even got more produce today, you know, just try to help out a little bit. So basically just gonna hope for the best and hope and pray that he actually administers the medicine for these animals that desperately need treatment. So I just wanted to have that documented. Well, my name's Tamara Lanza, and I am the visionary and the creator of both SavingTheTigers.org and Majestic Keepers. It started as a young age. I always had, so I feel like it was something innate, kind of born in me. I loved cats. I love felines. So as a little girl, I'm sure I drew my mom crazy. I was always, rescuing the cats and, nurturing that health. And it was just a passion as a young girl. The main guy that was there was, trying to just take on too much of a role, and it's just, for any one human being, it's just too much to handle, taking all those animals. He didn't have the provisions, the money, not proper veterinarian care, and, sadly, he just kept bringing animals in and not being able to care for the ones that he did have. Some of them did need medical treatment, and he just wasn't getting them treated. Helping, I would bring produce every week. I brought medicine, supplies. Just, my time, my devotion for caring for them, and, obviously cleaning and feeding. And some of the animals that did have some issues, I would have the medicine to help administer for them. So that, that was just a passion that kept me driving back, keep going, week after week, trying to help as much as I possibly could.
Can you tell me a little bit about the individual animals over there?
I think it was just an injustice. I don't feel the ones that did die even deserve to, and because of the lack of care and the negligence. One of the first animals who passed was a beautiful girl named Anna. Basically, there was a mass that I started seeing on her, like kind of underside on her tummy, and it kept growing, and I would bring this to the attention to the man residing on the grounds week after week, and pleading with him to have a vet come out. At that time, we only had a domestic cat and dog vet, because unfortunately the original owner basically burned many bridges with all the exotic vets. No one would work with him. He actually didn't pay a few, and then also he was not giving vitamins, so they refused to work with him. So the only measures they went to was to obtain a domestic dog and cat vet. Yeah, so Anna, the tumor just became so bad, even became bloody, and at that point I was like, something needed to be done. So I actually called around to different veterinarian colleges around the state of Florida, and I did get a contact with the University of Florida in Gainesville. They had a program where they have all the equipment, and they work with specialists and vets for exotics for the tigers. I actually had it all set up. They told me that I could bring the cat. I had a transport set up ready to get her out there, and I asked, I contacted the original owner in Canada and let him know about needing to get this cat where she needed to get treatment and diagnosed, and the original owner, as well as the caretaker, refused. It got to the point where it was just so terrible. The dog and cat vet came out. She forgot to bring the anesthesia machine. It was ridiculous. Basically, she brought these young vet techs. No one seemed to know what they were doing. They were trying to see if the cancer had, or we obviously thought it was that, if it had metastasized to her body. So they tried to get x-rays, and these very inexperienced x-ray techs couldn't obtain the shots. So the next thing you know, they were saying they were gonna go in and do surgery, and I was very upset. I told them I don't think this should be done until we find out if the cancer had spread, because if that's the case, why are we doing the surgery? Well, they didn't listen. The other vet had to ask our own vet if she wanted to even, hey, are you going to participate? She didn't even want to partake in the surgery. But the problem is they didn't have the anesthesia machine, so they did a kind of old school method of just oxygen, and they kept giving her medicine, and so they killed the cat. She actually never woke up from the surgery. As sad as it was, I was thankful she did pass, because when they finally did a autopsy on the mass, it was one of the worst cancers that a exotic feline tiger can have. But that was just from the lack of an experience of type of vet one of the situations. Those last days of her life, she didn't need to suffer like the way she did.
Yeah.
So I actually just wanted to continue discussing about two of the tigers that I didn't previously talk about. I was particularly talking about all the ones that did die unjust and, through negligence and different various forms of abuse. But two actual tigers that were at the facility were Asia and Jahan. Asia was actually a young juvenile, which should never have been born because at a rescue facility, all tigers and any exotics should be fixed. Though the owners did not fix, one of the male and females, and they did have Asia as their offspring. So again, that should never happen. Definitely, if you're having, a true rescue facility and you're saving tigers, you don't need to be bringing more in. So again, Asia was born in captivity, and it is a very unusual situation. I never have received the truth, and I don't know if I ever will. Basically, she did pass. It was just, she was very young, and it's seemingly healthy. She actually just seized, and I found her the next day. I was staying over there, and it was just a very terrible image that I remember. But, the caretaker said that he did an autopsy of her and that there was no findings, though I was never able to obtain any of that information, just because I was a volunteer and I am not, the owner, or, I'm not on any of the papers. So that information was never allowed to be revealed to myself, because she was one of the beautiful tigers there, and her name was Asia. So, hers was a very sudden and unusual and just kind of a mystery of a death. But I did want to, just pay my respect to her and, include her in this story. The other amazing tiger that was there for many years was a tiger named Jahan. Jahan, again, just like I spoke about Asia, where it wasn't a neglect or, abuse situation, Jahan, was acting normal until one day he was down, and, when a tiger's down, there's obviously a serious situation. And so finally we did get a vet to come out there and sedate him, and we did x-rays, and unfortunately he did have a lesion on his spine. I did some research, and in the wild it is a common thing with felines, especially the exotics. They have done studies with captive tigers in the United States and throughout the world, and usually they can live from 2 to 4 more years. But again, perhaps he had this ailment and we did not know, until we found out. He might have had it for a few years prior. And then, his death was also very sudden. He actually passed 1 month after we found out about the lesion on his spine. He probably was the only tiger that passed a peaceful death. He just went to sleep and did not wake up. Hopefully this group can pave and make a way for the numerous tigers that are being neglected and abused. And this story is one of hundreds and thousands that goes on in the United States. Particularly, I pray and hope that my voice can be a solid catapulting process and action to really have some kind of other legislation and protection for these animals, because there's such lack of it in the state of Florida. So this facility is just one of hundreds of thousands that unfortunately nothing is being done, and yet these animals are suffering and being abused. And it is mind-boggling to me, because I know that certain individuals go to jail for animal abuse, and yet this particular facility is allowed to be up and running. Animals dying left and right, being neglected, not proper, nutrition or veterinarian care, nor the resources. And it's astonishing that this can happen. So, I want this to be, just embedded on people's minds and hearts, realizing what goes on. And it's, it is a very hush-hush kind of situation going on. I mean, they literally are considering it an epidemic of tiger, individuals having these tigers in the United States that have no right or no means should ever be allowed to have them. If you are an animal hoarder, if you don't have the resources or means, if you don't have the passion, if you can't care for the animals you have, or allowing them to be going through abusive situations, neglect, you do not deserve to have them. And that's one of the goals is trying to, I guess, give exposure to the light of the situation and this sad story. I was able to go there for years, and up until the point where I finally, did report him and the facility, and now obviously I am not welcome, and so it's heartbreaking to me. But I did kind of also really have a drive to creating this, because recently I found out that another cat died, and all because of a treatable and curable parasite. It was hookworms. I mean, it's treatable, and this facility did not give these cats a chance to live. They didn't deserve to die. It was an injustice and cruel, inhumane neglect and abuse situation that they faced when they didn't have to deserve that type of death. I found out because Czar was the last cat that did die, and I sent in these terrible pictures of starving animals and bloody masses and tumors to all kinds of agencies and authorities, throughout the United States, and nothing was done. But I did find out that the same cat, sadly, who shared his enclosure, which hookworm it's very spreadable through stool. As soon as the rain comes, it goes into the next enclosure and goes into the next enclosure. So all the cats had them at the time, and the man refused to treat them. So sadly, I did not see her demise, but I did find out that she also died. So that injustice, it's propelling me to, want to make a stand and be that advocate, be a true voice for these beautiful, precious animals that don't have a voice and did not deserve to die. And the original goal was to try to have that particular group be my first rescue. That is my dream. It is my lifelong, desire to have this dream not just be a dream, but to come into fruition, and that is to have my own tiger rescue. And at the time, years ago, I was there for 9 years, the original owner said, yes, when you have your facility built, I'll sign them over. But unfortunately, now, the mission, it's not ever shifted, but because of be allowed, to happen, it would be, pleading with the owner again to allow them to come with me. So I'm not sure that particular group will be a rescue, but I am not stopping for them to be able to be relocated and brought to a beautiful facility that they can live out the rest of their years. So, that's where I wanted to also come and share to you and, to the audience that the original goal was for that group to be the first rescue for me, though it is not going to stop my mission and my, particular vision that is savingthetigers.org, which is for not only this group, but numerous tigers that need to be rescued. And then it's going to, propel into my rescue, which is Majestic Keepers. But again, that is what I am coming to you also asking for, is asking for your help to allow this vision and this mission to become a reality. It is a massive amount of resources needed to build this facility, but I'm asking you from the bottom of my heart to help. And actually, sorry, it's my kitty cat, is to help and, from the bottom of your heart, see this need, see the needs out there that will never stop. These tigers are euthanized weekly. You don't hear about it. It's kept a hush in the United States for whatever reason, but there are tigers that are euthanized weekly. So the need for facilities is there's such a huge need for real, true facilities to be out there giving their all, giving the proper veterinarian care, giving their proper medicine, having a fully accredited staff and members to do this. You can't do this on your own. You need a team. And I think that's the other downfall of that facility. I mean, they thought they could do it with one person and myself as a volunteer, and then towards the end of the years, one other gal. I mean, it's impossible. You can't take on that task. So I just wanted to also just come to you and discuss some of these things. I was actually woken up in the middle of the night, couldn't even sleep, and just wanted to share some of these things that were put on my heart. But the goal, the dream will never end, and that is to build my own facility. And so I please ask you to, look into it, see the sincerity, become aware of some of the things I've done, and check out the website, and I pray you will see and realize that this is a genuine, sincere passion and drive I've had, and I have been working with big cats for the past 18 years of my life. It's definitely not going to go away, but I definitely need your help. So I ask and I thank you in advance. And I really just hope and pray that my story can, help these animals and other animals to come and really try to make a stand, especially in Florida, because the lack of legislation is just terrible. And because of all that, places like this, backyard so-called rescues, are allowed to continue to be up and running, and it's just despicable. I mean, it should not be happening, and it needs to be stopped. So, please help me help these animals and others to come. And I thank you again from the bottom of my heart.